Hello and welcome to Michael and Ivanka's Grand Podcast, a weekly podcast where two of us, people that you may or may not know, try and figure out what we think about absolutely anything, everything. I wanted to put in a description of the sort of person, so it's like I'm a creative, nerdy type that can make stuff. Called Michael Forrest.
And I'm a user researchy, techie type who likes to talk about feminism and climate change.
Yeah.
And has a child. People like to put that in, don't they? Mother.
So yeah, that's good. I mean, no pressure. Just sum your entire self up in a pithy sentence. Easy. We'll work on that. And your name is?
My name is Ivanka Majic.
Welcome to our podcast, wherein this week we're going to talk about friendship.
We are.
And we're experts on that. We're friends.
We're friends. We've also got some friends, I hope.
Yeah.
I've got a few friends.
And we can talk about how to keep them, how to lose them, where they come from, why.
Are we good friends or bad friends?
Are we good friends? Like, how do you, what makes it work? Is there any things you have to do, or is it all automatic friendship, or do you have to work sometimes?
Invest.
Keep it alive.
Invest in your friendships.
Buy your friends presents. I don't know. What's this going to give you as a listener? I don't know. We're just going to have a chat. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fun.
It's be like a random conversation you have in a pub after work, or at a bus stop, or
at a bus stop. Do you want to be my friend? Because that's the best way to make friends. We're going to give you tips and tricks on how to make friends and influence people. How about that? We'll call it that. We're going to figure out how to be better friends and help you in the process. How's it going, Ivanka? Have you had a good week?
I have had a good week after last week's uber tired recording. I then developed some horrible migraine thing, which then made me go, do you know what, Ivanka? You have been neglecting your self-care. What is wrong with you? You know better than this. So I booked a massage. I did my Pilates. I did a bit more meditating. Yesterday cleaned my office within an inch of its life.
Wow.
I even read the scrappy notes, bits of paper and everything.
Wow.
So I feel rather in control of things. I've also cleverly, I like to think, I always feel guilt. So Restaurants Brighton, for those of you who do not know, has lots of small businesses as clients, and some of them pay very well and some of them don't. And I really, really, really don't like being that person that sends naggy emails. So I don't do it, and then what they owe builds up and it's a disaster. Anyway, this week I have engaged a person who very nicely chases everybody, and she's removed this huge lump of guilt from my life where I go, oh, I'm not managing the money properly, oh God, I'm responsible for other people's wages as well, oh my God. But she's sending everybody very nice polite emails but that say, hello, you have a service, you need to pay for that service. But it was also one nice thing that came out of it was that one of the people did say that he really appreciated it, and within a month of coming on and working with us, he noticed a bump in his sales. So
yeah, well, there you go.
That's good. Anyway,
well, I'm jealous that you've got someone helping with boring stuff or like stuff that you don't like doing.
And I think in this case it's stuff that I'm just not very good at.
Right,
I overthink and overanalyze these emails and phone calls, like way disproportionately. I could add a lot more value to their lives if I was concentrating on the service rather than on chasing them for money.
Yes.
Is my rationale here. But anyway,
That's
so I'm
good.
feeling quite... And I've been for another massage this morning, and my neck is much better. And on Monday, when she massaged my neck, the lady, she said, "Did you drive here?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "How could you see?" Because she was quite convinced I couldn't turn, which was not true. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. As you can tell, I'm quite upbeat. So, how are you, Michael?
I'm good. So obviously after last week, that sort of feeling of being in control of my destiny that I knew was going to be permanent. I'll be honest, yesterday, it's feeling, it's like the come down. I kind of want that feeling of control back. But I think I'm learning that part of that is, I think what I'm learning, because I've always been against like looking at the little numbers to see success, but now I'm sort of seeing the benefits of doing that, and I'm noticing that I'm bummed out because the thing I was working on this week was something that I don't have a number for yet. So sort of I'm going from like 0 to I don't know what, which I think is a bit. I think it's sort of giving me an insight into why that's a bit stressful. But yeah, and I'm just coming to terms with the idea that maybe I should just focus on being entertaining in my output, more than trying to synergize it with getting some work done, which I've been doing. I'll do a coding stream, and then if someone wants to come on and chat, that's cool, but I can also get some work done. Or I'll do a music stream, but it'll be my things and I'll come up with some stuff. But I think I want to just maybe loosen some of my morals and just try and do it in a more way to try and sort of get some growth in my audience. The way that we've never figured out how to do it with this podcast, because I think we kind of do it for the value for us, sort of first and foremost. We don't necessarily focus on anything that makes podcasts successful. Not that there's any freaking shortcuts to success there. I mean, we could interview Liam Neeson, or I don't know, interview Malcolm Gladwell. Then people will listen to it. But I think even that sort of thing has become more saturated over time.
Well, I think
yeah, just I want to try and play the game a bit more, which might literally mean playing games. Let's talk about friendships and friendship. Where do you start with this? I'm tempted to go into a slightly my miserable past, but I don't really feel like doing that right now.
No, let's not be miserable.
Yeah, something I went to Thailand back in 2007, and I had this moment where we were just sitting around, and there was just one person in this little bar sitting on a hammock, and we were sitting and having a drink, and he and just what surprised me was the fact that I could just get on with some random person in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, I guess you can make friends with anyone, really, and it's not like you've got to curate these friends necessarily. I think a lot of the time, it's sort of situational who your friends are to some extent. You're friends with some of your next door neighbours, hopefully.
I don't know if that's friends though, or just connections. Because there's people there are people in this world that I've met, even in a queue or random. You have a really amazing conversation. You really feel like you're connected, and then you never see them again. Or they sort of disappear, or you meet them when you're travelling, like you say, and you have great. But to actually maintain that contact, I mean, what is friendship? Is it, I don't know, sustained contact with the
what's
same
Liam
person?
Gallagher's one? It's someone you'd lend a tenner.
Is that a friend?
Who's a friend. Mancunian definition of
friendship.
Indie rock definition of friendship. Someone you'd lend a tenner. That's a friend, I guess.
I was thinking about that in preparation of the episode, and I think that I think it's not a way. I will lend money to people, a tenner. I will give money to people who need it. I've sat in queues with strangers and they're short a pack, okay, it's not a tenner. I think, I think what I've been thinking about this week a little bit is like, am I a good friend to my friends? Am I good at being a friend? Like, do you need to be good at being a friend? What does that mean? And what I think I am not very good at is casual, ongoing contact with people. I've never, since I was in school, since I was very small, I've never been like part of a group, and I've never had that thing where I always see this person on a Saturday or whatever it might be. That consistency. I've never done that, and I kind of now I'm almost like I almost actively avoid it. It's a bit, like I enjoy spending time with you. I'd like to see you again, but I didn't say I want to see you every Saturday. It's like,
maybe another way of thinking about it is like I experienced when I did my Berlin sojourn, what it was like to feel like I didn't have friends. Like I went to another country where I didn't really know anyone. Like I thought because I knew a few people on Facebook, it wouldn't be too bad. Like at least I had connections out there and I saw that there were sort of meetups that I could go to and meet people. And so I did that. But after a few months, like I started to really feel the burn of, feel the pain of not having like one or two close friends that I could just... Oh, and what I missed about that was like, I wanted to just go and talk to someone without like having to explain my backstory or kind of go back through all that stuff and get to know them. I just wanted to like talk about what was going on today, and that there was not really any way to do that, and that was really hard. And I know, and I just saw clearly, like, okay, you can't just become friends overnight. It takes a while. It takes like a year. It could take 2 years, like to really sort of feel like you've got that kind of friend. And there's an introvert, extrovert type of dynamic there where like some of us want to have like sort of smaller number of closer friendships. Yeah. And some people are happier to have sort of a lot more kind of light touch friendships.
I think there's a comfort level. I mean, I'm about to contradict myself massively because while I was pregnant, we met a couple who had a baby due about the same time, and now our children are best friends. Not that again, they don't see each other every day, but they genuinely have a nice connection that we've managed to maintain, even though they're in Brighton and we're here. But we did go to the pub with them pretty much every Thursday for 5 years. The only reason we're not going to the pub with them at the moment is because of the pandemic and the fact that we're here. But so it's not that I am, but I feel like I've got those friends now. So when I meet new friends, it's really weird. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying.
So you move abroad, you put your stuff in storage, and then now you're in the new place, and you need a thing, but you know you've got one, but it's in storage. But you don't want to buy a new one either because you've already got one. So then you just end up like having to do without it. And how long can you do without a lemon squeezer? I don't know.
You kind of end up auditioning friends, and I'm sure people audition us as well to sort of go no or yes. So we have met some people that are nice, and there is a friendship building for sure. But it is that like friendship is like you say, it takes time to develop. It takes time, and in some ways, I'm thinking about. I have, again, whether it's because of the topic of the podcast or whatever, I've kind of messaged a few people that I've been thinking of messaging but not messaged for a long time, and it's like, having shared history, like you say, not having to explain your backstory, so your sentences can be shorter because you don't need to set the scene because they can
know
probably
what you mean.
Picture
you have a lot more overlap.
Yeah, so it's like having those people that you can just phone up or if something, and I unfortunately for me, I sort of measure the strength of my friendships almost on when things are really shitty.
No, but I think this is true. I think it's like, it's how much do your experiences overlap kind of helps you to have that sort of shorthand and like relaxed way of talking to someone. So that can either be like live near each other, so you kind of live in the same environment, or it can be like, I was just thinking something like, Canonical, where it was so intense, it was this crucible that you end up like, it sort of accelerates that process, because it is a negative thing, but it's like it's an intense shared experience. So that tends to kind of give you that overlap in a similar way. In a similar way.
Yeah,
so
definitely, and that does. You can't in that kind of really intense negative situation. There's no energy left over for pretending.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, you are going to, but someone's going to burst into tears. Someone's going to storm out.
Some or all.
Or the whole team is going to cry. So it's like, or even the other teams that seem to be in some way like antagonistic towards you. Then someone on their team cries. So it's like, suddenly we have connected.
Yeah. So that's why I think you're probably going to make friends at work eventually, just because by virtue of the way, like, even if it's not terrible, like the people that it's like that casual contact thing. If you're not like friendship, it's easier for friendship to be born out of that like ongoing casual contact where you just sort of see you're going to the same place every day, you're seeing the same people. It's miserable when there's just no one that you kind of feel like you have any connection with. But like if you're somewhere that there's a few more people like you, then there's friendships that can grow out of that. But I also think like I feel like our friendship was relatively intentional. I feel like we went for a drink, and like at the end of it was like, I think we should definitely be friends, because you just once in a while it's like we seem to be talking each other's language, and I think I can see this working. Let's put it in the diary.
I used the phrase once with Nick. We were talking about somebody. I was like I used the phrase "invest in friendship."
Yeah.
And he went, I don't like how you're talking about friends. It sounds like such a calculated thing. And I was like, well, I don't know how. Like, what else are you going to say? It's like, given a choice of a million things I could do today, I choose to contact this person and say hello because I want them in my life. It's
one of these things that we're romantic about, like the idea that it should just happen automatically, and if you make a conscious effort, or if you think of it as an investment, or if you think of it as some work, then it doesn't count anymore. And it's like I was looking into like I don't know what was it, like some stuff about like influential people. They use tools, right? Like you got your people, like, when's the last time I contacted this person, and like you almost like, if you want to be the sort of person that has a lot of connections and has a lot of friends, you can't expect that to happen naturally. And if it takes like I have a little reminder. I did have a list somewhere of how long since I last contacted someone, but I've not managed to maintain that. But I do have a like contact a friend thing in my done good that every like few days it's like, just try and just think about someone, just reach out and say, how's someone doing? And just because like personally, and I don't know necessarily want to put this in the introvert thing, or maybe I'm just like too self-obsessed, or I feel like I'm never quite, there's only certain situations where I feel confident enough to put myself, even a friend, like I'm a bit scared I still feel vulnerable or exposed or something if rejectable if I kind of reached out to even a good friend and they didn't have time for me. I would probably feel bad if I wasn't feeling like stable at a particular moment. That's another thing. But just I am someone that needs to consciously remember to do it. Otherwise, it just won't happen naturally. I don't think that's any less valid than someone who all they want to do is reach out and talk to people. We
spoke at some point in the podcast. We spoke about these things like, I was thinking of you the other day, or I when you think of somebody, they are not going to know you thought about them unless you tell them. You know, we are not actually telepathic or psychic or any of those things. So it's like, so I have, since we had that conversation, I've been really trying to make more of a conscious effort that when I think of somebody, to send them a message.
Yeah.
But again, you can do that with people that you are friends with, because you don't have to go, hello, how are you? You can just like go
from this?
Yeah. You can just sort of go, hello, I was thinking of you, so I thought I'd say hello. Or, you know, I've got various little WhatsApp groups. There's a few little circles as well, like people that came from this job and people that came. I've got one little WhatsApp thing with 2 other women that I work with in Brighton, and one of Annie, who may or may not still listen to the podcast, I don't know, she sent a message going, insert social niceties here, and then went for the actual question. But it's like, I'm perfect. Then we had a silly giggle about the branding of Zoom, and that's why Zoom has succeeded. But that wasn't her question. But, you know,
you've seen
it's
that
just
lawyer
like,
that have you seen that lawyer?
The cat
that
Zoom
goes
lawyer.
I've watched it 3 times. And
It's
it's
hilarious.
the best thing I've ever seen. This looks so upset. I'm not a cat.
We're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
There's that miserable small talk phase. Like, can you have friends? Do you have to go through a small talk phase to make friends, or can you? Like,
I don't.
You know the weather.
I don't know. It's that. I mean, I sometimes don't know the difference between like it's this contact and companionship and friends. You know, it's like I've always been very chatty. So coming to work, morning to the reception, morning to everybody, hello, how are you? Remember a few things. But I think I genuinely have I'm a user researcher. I'm genuinely curious about humans, you know, and I like humans and I like talking to them and I enjoy it and I don't mind, you know, but the people that I sit down and relax and go, you're not going to believe what happened to me the other day or whatever. It's a different, you know, it is different. And I've only got, you know, and that on that sort of what makes a good friend, like, okay, somebody, I like to think that I am the kind of person that even if you haven't seen me for a long time, you can still phone me up and I will try and help you if I can, if you need me or you need something or you need some help. But I don't know if, like, because all my emphasis in my brain is about friends help each other out when things are bad, that I forget to do some of the fun stuff. Like, go to the pub or whatever, you know, like, I mean, I know at the moment it's all tricky, but I don't think
it is a strange time to try and be a friend at the moment. Well, at the start, like, this is the thing, like, at the start of the lockdown, it almost felt like I was hearing from more people, but actually, it's everyone's found their sort of like rut again or groove or whatever you want to call it, and I'm not hearing from anyone anymore, and I haven't reached out to anyone, and it's that's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, yeah, it's a tough time to if you can't go to the pub, if you can't, like, at least bond over a shared addiction of addictive. Well, that was going back to the Thailand thing. Like, it was like, I think one of the most basic, the easiest things to bond over is a mutual love of some self-destructive substance. Like,
it does help.
This guy that we met was, you know, he had some weed, so it was like, okay, well, we'll hang out with you, and it's sort of like an immediate, like, bonding, like, and I worked at a box factory, and the same, like, I bonded with some guy there just because he smoked weed, and it was like, okay, well, there we go, we don't really need anything else. Like, it's almost like that's like a ticket into sort of having being at least like, okay, you're cool. Like,
but smoking at work used to be like that. Used to be the go-to. Go outside for a sec. You could talk to everybody, all levels, all of that stuff.
It's true, absolutely.
It is, but that's why smoking is cool. No, but
no, it's a disaster. And we did, like, after I quit, we'd still like have fresh air breaks. But obviously, it's not really the same. It's like not the same alcohol. Yeah, I tried to keep going to the pub after I quit drinking, but there's something undeniable about the addiction factor of that pulls you to the pub and makes you pay £4, £5 for something, and that you sort of stop wanting to do when there isn't that like addictive component to it. That and now for the life of me, I just can't bring myself to do it really anymore. And I'd rather, at least I can go for a coffee now. I've re-addicted myself. Yeah, but it's not the same even. Like, I think like sometimes you need a bit of a catalyst to kind of like force you to.
I think a shared thing. Like Nick's doing really well at the moment at having company at least. And slowly making friends because he rides a motorcycle,
right?
And so on this island, there aren't, it's a great place to ride a motorcycle, and so he gets invited along to things. In England, he never ever went for a ride out because his motorcycle was a means of getting somewhere, not a recreational activity. But now it has become a recreational activity, and it really is. He's saying hello to loads more people. His Croatian is improving because even though they all speak English, inevitably he's around it more. He's having to communicate more, and I'm like, it's kind of a godsend for him because he's making all these connections, like having companionship,
that's great.
having something to do. That's
encouraging for me because like I think maybe I'm seeing it through this addictive chemical lens because that's the ones that I'm most conscious of having lost because I'm on my mission to remove these things. But I love that it can just be any shared, and I think like I think
it is any shared experience.
My good friends tend to be music types, like if not people that I've do a similar jobs to, but like I think that music thing is not necessarily a self-destructive thing. I mean, we both know each other's pain,
but I think that common thing, either the cigarettes, alcohol, a bad job, motorcycle, good job, whatever it is. And I still feel like if we think about LBI, there are many people that I work with at LBI that maybe I don't talk with all the time, but they remain part of the people that I call friends, and that I would, because we had different sort of, but we tended to bond over trying to be really good at something, which is, it's also a nice thing. And it's that common thing that brings you together, I think, gives you the opportunity for a friendship to develop. So, but there's a point where it goes from just being companionship, people people you talk to, and then you sort of take it on, and then it becomes more of a, I don't know, this kind of people that stay and do get. I don't send Christmas cards. I was about to say people you send Christmas cards to, but I don't send Christmas cards. I am quite sporadic in any of those kind of polite grown-up endeavours. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm not grown up enough to be a proper person that contacts people regularly and predictably. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's something you want to do, you can just like set a reminder to do it, can't you? Or you can just say, okay, well, next time I think of the person, I'll send it to. And like you can, I think there's that. I disagree strongly with Nick, in that regard. I think like it's something that if you have to kind of force yourself to remember to do it, like why not? Like, it doesn't hurt anyone to ask someone how they are. Like, even if you didn't do it because of some sort of magical sense of friendship, it was because an alarm went off and it was like, talk to a friend. And you look through your phone and go, do I feel like talking to any of these people? No, but maybe you, okay. Like,
but yeah, I think a weird side effect of the podcast is that many of my friends feel like they've had a chat with me. when I haven't had a chat with them though. So they kind of go, "Oh, I've just been listening to your podcast. I feel like I've been talking to you all morning." So it's like,
it's not fair, is it?
That's like,
that's why you got to say hello to us.
But I kind of think that's why that's like a weird. This is basically just a round robin podcast to all my friends. What's Ivanka thinking this week?
I mean, sometimes it was back like when I started blogging, I had a similar feeling. Like it's like, well, everyone really knows my stuff now, but like, so fine. The thing that I would like to be better at, and the thing that, because I wish I was better at being more proactive in sort of making friends, and I've always relied on other people. Like certain types of people are kind of cool, like sending you a message, you fancy doing something, when you've only like met a couple of times, and like they're happy doing that, and happy like. Maybe it takes like 5 of those before you actually go, actually, yeah, no, I'm around. Let's have a coffee. Me, like, I send one message and it doesn't get a reply. I mean, I'm better these days, but I've always been someone that has assumed the worst, take it personally, feel terrible, rejection issues, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've never been very good at doing that thing. But also, I think a bad impulse I have is that I'm quite quick to reject people as well. I'm quite like... If I kind of, and I think something I saw was like, just always give people, when you first meet people, always give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think I'm too quick to go, what is that moustache? Right? And I can miss out on a really good friendship just by sort of like judging someone and just think, you're not, that's no. Not for me.
Well, I've got somebody at the moment who's like, has messaged me a few times, but every time I get the message, it's like, it really is the wrong time, or do you want to do something? No, I don't. Like, I can't. And then it's like, I don't want to be saying no all the time. And so now I'm like, the last message she sent, I was like, la 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 la, and I should know, But because one of my things, based on feedback received from you as a friend around my flakiness. It's like
I still don't. I do not remember that conversation, but I'm sorry
don't worry.
for
It's
putting it in.
Really, it's had a lasting impact. But no, not in a bad. It's just made me go. It was like, I didn't realise, I didn't think that's how. But then, so it's. I don't want to be a flaky person, So, but
that
I
just
also
comes back to consciously prioritising something that maybe naturally you don't always feel like prioritising.
But you see, if a message that I get from somebody always comes on a Saturday morning, and that is the time when I spend with my daughter because I haven't seen her all week, and the 2 times she's turned up at my house unannounced, I have been sitting there with my daughter doing arts and crafts, surely that person could also recognise that Saturday morning's just not a good time for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Can
or maybe
you
I
invite
should
her
be
to
clearer.
join in with the arts and crafts?
Yeah, I've done all that.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, but also I don't want to. It's like there's a pandemic on. I don't want people coming to my house. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I mean, who goes to somebody's house unannounced during a pandemic? Who does that?
I don't know. I know people, I certainly stopped turning up at people's houses when I moved to London, but it was very much a thing in the village. So,
well, yes, of course it is in a village, yes, but in a village in a pandemic.
Yeah. This is not.
Let's be conscious of people's safety distances.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's I just maybe on the one hand I love people, on the other hand I'm never sure if I'm a good friend, but I did send some lovely messages out to people that I love dearly and want them in my life forever and ever.
Yeah.
And so that's it, really.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say on the subject.
I not to prolong it, but just I've definitely got like 2 modes. Like I don't feel like sending any emails, but once I've written that first email, I'm like, I'm going to send emails all day. I love this, and you get a reply, and like I love that feeling. But like, it's really different. It's really like my work when I'm working and I've got my head down. I'm trying to solve problems. It's like all that gets shut down, and then if I work too hard for too long, and I just like I lose that entire breadth of human contact that I really love, but like I'm too busy,
I've not thought about it that way, but I agree. That's exactly the mode. I get into the mode of not talking to people, not contacting people, and then to come out of it is I really struggle with.
Yeah,
I just want to hide.
Yeah,
I really do.
It's that feeling of like I just don't. I look at people in my WhatsApp and I'm like, I just don't feel like it. But as soon as I've broken the seal on it, I'm good to go. So
cool. Let's do that.
Yeah. Well,
just send messages. Break the seal.
Break the seal. Thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, go to grandpodcast.com. It seems like nothing I say is going to get you to sign up to Patreon, so I'm just going to say it exists.
Please do sign up to Patreon. Make Michael happy. Or send us an email if you are one of our friends who listen to it. Just remember that we can't hear you.
Yes, we can only hear each other.
Yeah. So yes, lots of love to all of you.
Yeah,
that's what I say, and send us a message.
Thank you.
Check me out on Ivanka on Twitter. Where are you, Michael?
Ivanka. I'm Michael Forrest on Twitter. I'm mf_music on Twitter. I'm goodtohear.co.uk if you want to get some apps. I'm donegood.app as well if you come and find me. If you want to just hang out with me in person, help me get my Twitch streams up, twitch.tv/Michael Forrest, and I'm just like on there a lot. Either I'm playing music, or I'm doing a bit of work, doing a bit of programming, or I played some games a bit more recently. But it's just a time to... I'm just doing just chatting more. So if you want to come by and just chat, that's a thing.
So Twitch, you are transmitting, broadcasting in full everything, but we can only interact with you by writing.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
But it's a surprisingly nice type of interaction. Like I've started joining other people's streams a lot more, and like I'm sort of like chatting and sort of joining in there, and it's just you just feel like
sounds like those things at UDS where there used to be people in a room talking and
Ivanka's
other people on IRC.
prejudging a lot of potential friends, and don't listen to her. It's cool. It's fun.
No, it sounds
especially
good.
in a pandemic.
I might switch one on for my mother so she can just see what I'm doing. Go on Twitch for my mum. There you go, Mum. This is me in my office all day, shuffling post-it notes and scribbling on walls.
Why not?
Let's
just say goodbye. Thanks for listening. If you
Bye.
did,
Thank
we miss you. Bye.
Yes. Say hi. Bye.